Hello, hello, everyone. I am Ben Pick, and thank you for joining me in Running to Write, where I give questionable writing advice through running metaphors. And thank you, everybody, for joining in. Richard, you are again awesome. You are always my number one, and the number one person in here. Obviously, my wife is in here too, so sorry, Richard. She beats you out in terms of overall number ones, but I do appreciate that you were here first. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And yeah, before we get started, I'm really proud of. So I had a 3-day weekend this weekend, and of that time, I'm just going to my own horn for a little bit. I spent 8 to 10 hours cleaning up trash. I did over 100 to 120 gallons of trash pickup, and oh boy, I'm exhausted. That also includes 12 shopping carts that I put back in the right place, because I get along with all the trash. There's a lot of people who are just not the best, and so those shopping carts end up a mile or two away from the stores they belong to. And so I did 10 to 12 today. I found out that my maximum for pushing carts a mile is 6 carts. Those things are heavy, and I was using like side streets to get most of the way there, but then I started hitting the main road, and I had to be really, really careful because one of those things goes into oncoming traffic, and that would cause all kinds of problems. So hooray. And then that was today. And then on Saturday, I had done a few shopping carts that I brought back to Target, which is, 2 miles from where they were abandoned. And woot. So I'm exhausted. And let me think. On Saturday and today, I did my normal 6.75 mile runs. So I did physical activity, and then I was outside for 4 to 5 hours cleaning up trash while also bringing back carts and walking miles upon miles. So I'm exhausted. And this entire episode is all about the Olympics, which brings people to their physical peaks. So it's, a slight tangent, but I also have physical limits. And on Saturday, I basically came back, sat around playing video games. I obviously showered, sat around playing video games. But I inhaled all kinds of food when I got back. It was just anything that wasn't bolted down, I ate. Here today, I finished around 5-ish. Then I mowed the lawn. So I crammed as much food as I could in. And then I walked my dog, then mowed the lawn. And so there was, but I didn't eat that much food because I'm about to eat dinner. So, balances, I guess. And with that out of the way. Oh yeah, we also need to do our new AC unit because our AC HVAC system, it's rusted on the inside and there's a cracked container. So there was water leaking out, and this has just been a fun weekend. Lots and lots of adulting, I guess. So that's fun. And anyways, I know tonight's whole topic is all about the Olympics, and I recognize that I am in fact a little bit late on talking about the Olympics. It took place a few weeks ago at this point. But the Olympics is a celebration of physical and mental peaks for humanity. There were a lot of ups and downs in this latest batch of Summer Olympics, and accordingly, plenty of controversies. The least of which being, I don't need to go into specifics, but I'm going to make a couple of jokes here later on. And given that I watched some of the breakdancing at the Paralympics, which was phenomenal, there's really no excuse for what happened at this year's Olympics. Anyways, on a positive note, the Olympics demonstrate a lot of lessons which reinforce great writing habits. Also, there are plenty of memes, which I see as negative because it distills days of competition into a single digestible image for people like me who only watch a few events. I'm going to try and avoid the specifics because it's been done to death, but these often delved into, at times, the offensive, much like a large portion of the internet. So we're going to try and steer clear of those, although I probably do have a couple of jokes in here at some point. Anyways, these are the 5 lessons I've learned from the Olympics to improve all aspects of my writing. So see, occasionally I do go back to my running metaphors when it comes to writing for this channel, which is called Running to Write. I know I usually stray far away from those since the first season. The first season, I had 26 perfect analogies. It was wonderful. It was great. But since then, I've kind of been, well, it's hard to come up with the creative and new running metaphors. So we're back to basics here. Anyways, number one, always be prepared. Now, this isn't the current Olympics, which just passed with the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris. But rewinding to the 2021 Olympics, Gabby Thomas was an American sprinter who almost left her jersey at home. She earned her spot to compete at that Olympics and outright told her coach that she didn't need it because she didn't anticipate ending up on the winner's podium where she would actually need it. Because when you're running, you don't need your jersey, but when you're standing up on the podium, you want to show national pride. Her coach convinced her to do otherwise, and it was a good thing too because she placed third place. She got the bronze in the 200-meter race with a time of 21:87 seconds, which is pretty damn fast. But we need to have that mentality of the coach and not Gabby Thomas about our books, where we need to be prepared to be on that winner's podium as opposed to saying, well, it doesn't matter. I can leave this and this at home. I don't need to do this and that, the other thing. I'm not going to win, whatever. And I've been a vendor at a few book events, and it is intimidating. That being said, I and every author there has earned the right to sell our books there. We should be prepared and confident in our achievements, as opposed to some of the other authors I've seen who only bring maybe a handful of their books to sell their first outing. Sorry, I'm all kind of tongue twisted. I've been to places where I've seen authors only bring a few of their books to their first outing. That can be fine, but why not, instead of bringing, I don't know, 1 to 3 or even up to 5, bring 30. Show up expecting to make it to the winner's podium. If we only sell 1 or 0, then at least we tried or we were prepared, and then there's always next time. But being unprepared for an event sets ourselves up for failure when we deserve to succeed. This can come in the form of bringing too few books or being too nervous to talk to anyone there. So you have maybe 3 books. When you only have 3 books out, it kind of says that you aren't really anticipating to sell a lot. And if you are too nervous to talk to people who are walking by, I mean, obviously don't shout random things at them to get their attention. But if you're too nervous to talk to anybody, especially people who are walking up to your table, then that is setting you up for failure. In other words, if we metaphorically and accidentally leave our jerseys at home and decide not to go back for them, we are mentally setting ourselves up to fail, which will likely culminate in actual failing to achieve our goals or to reach out to somebody walking by, failing to reach out and talk to them when they're walking by at a book event. Sure, we might not be a match for some specific random person walking by, but if we don't make that attempt, then obviously we won't get there, or we won't make a connection. And it doesn't need to lead to a sales. It doesn't need to lead to a sale. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about making a connection with somebody at these events. And to go, to completely cross all kinds of sports metaphors off the checklist. Oh, I should probably take these out. I was listening to some stuff earlier. Anyways, to check all the boxes for sports metaphors, you miss every shot you don't take. I think that's the right phrase. Anyways, number 2, I'm actually going to check the audio now that I've taken out the headphones just to make sure that's not, that there aren't any issues, since I want to make sure that I want to make sure that the audio wasn't coming through my headset because it's got a microphone there, and that's actually coming through this thing. So good. Yeah. Microphone all set up. Sorry. Whoa. Let's see. So there is, sounds expensive. Yes. Repairing our HVAC and getting a new tiny porch is expensive. Fun fact, it's like a 10-foot thing, and it shouldn't be that big of a deal. And the initial quote that somebody gave us was $30,000. And as soon as they give me an official quote of $30,000, I'm just going to laugh in their face because we've gotten that's completely absurd for what we're getting done. It's basically just a flat landing, a step, and then another flat landing, and some rails so you don't walk off things. But that is laughably price gouging. Like I have neighbors in my neighborhood who have full on enclosed porches and it's got a roof over it and everything. And those are less than 30,000. And so to guesstimate that the effort will be 30,000 is insulting. And let's see here. Yeah, home ownership is expensive. It sucks. Something is always breaking. Sorry, I forgot about the Olympics. It's only been a month, Richard. Come on. And yeah, breakdancing is what I'm referring to. Because, I have more comments about that. Oh, it's sorry, it's a Wayne Gretzky quote. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And yeah, 30,000 is absolutely absurd for basically 10 feet by maybe 4 feet. And like I said, so there's one flat area, 2 steps, smaller flat area. That's not a $30,000 job, but oh boy. No, my actual solution is going to be very passive aggressive in the email that I send back if they give me a price for 30,000. But I sent you the other one and it's a $4,000 job, so we'll probably go with that contractor because, hooray, honest workers instead of people who are working for evil empires. Let's just say it that way. Hey, Andy, thank you for joining us. And now that I got all my audio checks out of the way, number 2, there are no shortcuts. Sure, we can pay a good amount of money to make it to the Olympics. Can't imagine how much money certain athletes spend on I can't imagine how much money in general every athlete spends on personal trainers and specialized diets and all kinds of devices to maintain peak performance. That goes without saying. I guarantee you it is very expensive to make it to the Olympics in the first place. Again, not everyone, but I'm sure there's a lot of top of the line people, not even just like clothing, just having a personal trainer on call and special meals and everything. I'm sure that costs a lot of money. I know how much money I take to feed myself, and it's not really a specialized diet. I know how much money it takes to go get a personal trainer at a gym. Again, that's like somebody who will give you a workout plan. That's not really much. I mean, it is a lot, yes, but it's not. This is the exact routine you need to go. Here's how many calories you need to work throughout the day. Here's a physical breakdown of everything you need to do. That is a lot more intensive. And I know what it takes to get me out of bed on some days. And in general, my life is not physically demanding. Now, when someone unqualified manipulates the system or takes part in, let's call it a pay-to-play venture, eventually do get called out. It's unfortunate that they won a gold medal in the meantime, but hypothetically, if a breakdancer paid their way to a gold medal, well, they kind of might allegedly deserve to be made fun of on the internet and potentially lose the benefits that got them there. Like I said, there are plenty. It's not just about breakdancing being in the Olympics. It's not just about that specific person. It's that I watch videos of the competition that it took to get that person to the gold podium, to the podium where she then won gold. And it's kind of absurd. There were significantly more talented and more qualified people who were knocked out prematurely. And the internet is filled with people making fun of this specific person who won the medal. So I won't do that here. Instead, I'll make the writing comparison using unsolicited offers for various services. That's right. We can pay to boost ourselves with reviews. First of all, this is never worth the investment. I don't know personally. I just know that this will not be worth the investment. I've been offered $35 to $50 for supposed influencers to review my books. I think I did one where it was an alpha reader, so I paid them $35, and I don't think they actually reviewed the book. I think they were just whatever. The point is that I don't think I gave somebody $35 to trying to help. Oh, it was to try and help promote my book. That's what it was. So it wasn't really a review. It was just, here's my book. You can read it, post about it. And that alone wasn't $35, to say nothing of whether or not there was had that person posted a review in addition to reading it, in addition to promoting my book. That would have been, I don't know what that would have been, but either way, $35 to somebody help boost and promote my book, it's not worth it. And that is especially true for paying somebody to review our books. There's no way that one review will generate $35 to $50 for my book in terms of 35 to 50 sales. So I'm already operating at a loss if I hire somebody to review my book. And even if they give me 5 stars, whatever, there's no way that that return of investment would actually equate to 35 to 50 sales. So I'd already be in the hole. Now, I've seen a few YouTube channels where it seems like they did this, not specifically reviews, but those channels, it seems like they paid for subs or likes or whatever, because you have, I'm always questioning when there's like a massive surge of subscribers, so maybe 1,000 to 10,000, and there still are like 10 to 20 views on the channel. That tells me that the math just isn't mathing quite right. So yeah, sure, there might be a sudden spike for a variety of reasons, and then it drops back to the normal range of 10 views or whatever. And that person may have, say, gone on to a very popular show and that generated a lot of buzz, or the video topic was controversial or highly sought after. My most popular video is a critical breakdown and explanation of user functions for Readsy. It's a how-to guide for formatting your books. And that's my only video with more than 1,000 views. It's a major outlier for this channel. I don't care. I mean, it's interesting from a metric standpoint, but I like generating the content that I like to generate. And if something hits, that's great. If it doesn't, whatever. But it's nice to know that I do actually have a semi-popular video, or relatively popular is probably a better way of putting it. And then usually once every few months, somebody finds that video and asks me questions about using Readsy, and I go back and I answer them. So that video is still kind of proliferating out there. That's great, but that video is an exception for my channel. My views around the time didn't do significantly better than my average. So I can conclude that the topic was the important thing that's drawing people in, rather than that I paid to get a boost of views or subs. Second of all, paying for reviews, it's illegal in Amazon. Now, people who make the mistake of doing this, people who make the mistake of either paying somebody for reviews or being the reviewer themselves, who is then going out and taking money for reviews on Amazon, they're at risk of getting the authors are at risk of getting their books removed, and those pay for review people are at risk of getting banned from Amazon. Now, that's less of a concern because you can easily just create a new profile and it's no big deal. But for the authors, that would be crippling. So that would be disastrous in terms of, in terms of what we can do. Because my main source of sales is Amazon. Even when I went wide, I don't think I had a single sale that wasn't through Amazon. And that alone makes me never want to risk it. I'm always surprised by how brazenly people advertise that they offer positive book reviews for money. I've had this experience, Richard. I know you've had this experience too. I don't know if you're comfortable talking about it here, but you vented to me about somebody who came to you to try and get money for positive reviews, and thankfully you told them off very nicely. So kudos to you. And in my experience, and when my friends call these people out, they do play around with the words and state that, the 5-star review obviously isn't guaranteed, but still everything about those conversations that I've had just feel slimy. My point is that it takes hard work to write a book, even more to write a good book. And obviously a great book is, significantly more difficult. So shortcuts undercut those efforts. For me, it takes a lot of hard work to run a 10-mile race. My times are decent, but I'll never make it to the Olympics. Don't care. For a variety of reasons, starting with the fact that I run for my own health, that I don't train to improve, nor do I devote an excessive amount of time to my running, I know I'm never going to be a professional runner. Perfectly fine. That's another reason why I can say with a high degree of certainty that I will never run a marathon. I need to devote multiple weekends solely to running 3 hours for 20-mile treks to properly prepare, because I wouldn't want to do a marathon without giving it my all. Now, I never start a marathon and then take a bus to hop to the finish line. That's hilarious and defeats the purpose of running a marathon. Sure, when money and prestige are involved, then it gets a little bit more of a gray area and it's easier to slip into bad habits. But I know that I won't fall for those because, again, I have no prestige or money hanging on me doing a race. Now, just like any athlete, we need to devote the time to we need to devote the time to our books and to constantly improving and revising them and then properly marketing them. Other people can help with these, like editors or publicists, but ultimately it falls on us as indie authors to write the novel, to review and editor suggestions, and to promote ourselves and our works. If we take a shortcut, if we hire somebody to post reviews about our book, eventually we're going to get caught. And this applies to AI generated stories as well, but that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. My point is, don't take shortcuts. Do the work. It sucks, but it's a lot more rewarding than taking the easy pay to play money way out. Number 3, healthy competition helps us all. My writing was initially okay. When I first started writing, I had a story I wanted to tell, and I enjoyed writing that story. It wasn't until I met other authors, I became active in Authortube, I got involved within various writing communities, that my skills drastically improved. More than that, every in-person event was a supportive experience. Sure, I'd love to sell as many books as possible, and I've sat next to people who have similar books and themes to my own. Sometimes that can mean a book bought from my table might come at a consequence of someone else's table or vice versa. And that's not necessarily the best way of thinking about it, but that could potentially be true. Or sometimes we meet really interesting people who go down a table and literally buy every single book from well, not every, but a book from every single author at each table, which is stunningly philanthropic. And I mean, that's just an awesome, it does feel a little bit less when you're just one in a row, but it also feels great to sell a book. So it's kind of a catch-22 there. And my best experiences, though, are when we raise everyone up. In the short conversations I have with people walking up to my table, I get clip note versions for what they like, the types of books, the genres they enjoy reading. And if that's a match for one of the other authors at my tables, at the other tables, I'll send potential readers to them. This worked out really great for me at this past year's Balticon when I was sandwiched between J.M. Chaley and Lauren and Nicole, where if somebody walked by and they wanted supernatural, they wanted vampires, they want something like that, I'd send them to Jamie. And if they were in the mood for fantasy and dark poems, I'd send them to Lauren and Nicole. Even when we weren't selling, we were just having fun. We were talking, and that alone, seeing people having fun, that brings in more foot traffic. I mean, that's obviously a side effect. That's not what I'm going for, but I was just having fun. And so it naturally brings more people to you. So I really appreciate all 3 of them and significant others who were there, because that made the experience so much more enjoyable. I mean, I didn't really care. Obviously, I want to sell as many books as possible, but I didn't necessarily care as much because it was just fun to have all of us. Sure, there was healthy competition, but it was fun to raise everyone up together. And even when we weren't selling, we were still enjoying the day, hanging out with each other. While mostly writing feels like it's a competition with ourselves, we can always expand outward and improve even more. One of my fastest races were those 10 milers. I've done the Cherry Blossom now 3, maybe 4 times. But my fastest time was when I was trying to outrun my brother. We were side by side for the first 5 miles, and then he pushed ahead, and I sort of fell back a little bit, but still had a really great time for myself. I also did some pretty good training then, so that probably factored in. The year after, I think that would be this year now, or maybe last year. Either way, it was just me and my oldest brother, who is vastly faster than me, I could ever hope to be. And so he was way ahead and out of sight. My overall time was a few seconds slower than the year before. And again, it might be training, it might be any number of things, but I tend to think of it as I didn't have the healthy competition of one of my brothers just running alongside me for most of the race. So without that healthy competition, I lacked focus and I lost my edge. So I want all of you writers out there, authors, whatever you want to call yourselves, to succeed. But it's also a good chance to sort of push myself to be better. And that's why I like that little hint of friendly competition. Even if we aren't selling anywhere close to the same books, just knowing that somebody's out there, like, Jamie, J.M. Chaley, he, I think he just finished, it took him a year. He just finished a draft of his sequel to The Unlife of Lisa Cooper. It's 75,000 words, something along those lines. He posted all this in social media, so I don't really care about sharing it here. And I will be hard pressed to finish my fourth novel, the first draft of it, within a year, which is kind of daunting because I got a long way to go. I might be 20,000 words in, 15,000 words in, and it's going to be a long, long way to get to 85, 90,000 words. I will be lucky if I can finish it in a year because life keeps throwing all kinds of curveballs at me. So I am struggling to find the time to write. Let's just say it that way. So even though I had a 3-day weekend, and yes, I spent 10 hours, 8 to 10 hours cleaning up the neighborhood, I only wrote for about 2 hours, which, obviously, yes, I could have done less cleanup, but that was something that I really wanted to do because I get tired of stepping on broken glass on my runs and having to go around poop and all this other fun stuff along my running course. So anyways, lost track of my thought. Healthy competition is good. That's what I'm going with. Healthy competition is good. I would love to aspire to write as frequently as Jamie does. And that's one of the goals that I'm setting for myself, even though I know I'll never achieve it. Because now that my work life has shifted in weird ways, I can no longer write like I used to when I was prepping for books 1 and 2. But that friendly competition helps push me, and I will, after cleaning for 8 hours outside, after cleaning for 4 hours, Saturday, I still sat down and I decided to write because I'm like, Jamie's out there. I got to do what he's doing. And today, same thing. I know I'm going to clean for 4 hours, so I'm going to write for an hour first, and then I'm going to go head out and, pick up all the trash. So that's where the healthy competition thing comes from. And before we move on to 4, favorite snack of my wife's to steal. Ooh, that's a tough call. Honestly, anything she's got. She usually has like chips and dip. I mean, we live in a house. I know where everything is in the house. It's it's not like it's whatever. Yeah. Instagram stammers and ray gun didn't medal? Oh, sorry. Well, then I am 100% wrong. I only know about the memes, and I thought she got a medal. My bad. So ignore everything I said. But still, just getting to the Olympics is incredible. So, I was wrong about how far she actually got, but I was right in that she still bought her way to the Olympics, which is definitely a shame. Sorry. I was talking about how a lot of the information I know about the Olympics is only through memes. And obviously I didn't know that the information I have is inaccurate. And yes, Andy, editorial reviews are entirely different. And the key difference between the two is that with editorial reviews, you are going out to, say, a professional editing agency or professional reviewing agency, and those are vetted. They are, I don't know the best word for it, but they're like the New York Times, where it's got a stamp of approval for it. And the key difference is that you reach out to them usually, and when it's a scam or when it's somebody who's just going to BS their way through it or pay to review, usually they'll reach out to you. It's, hey, pay me $35. Hey, pay me $50 and I'll give you 5 stars. That is absolutely, it goes against Amazon's terms of services, and it's not something I want to do. Editorial reviews are fine. They're just very expensive. So I don't, in terms of marketing, I don't know that would necessarily go my way. Also, editorial reviews are paying for a review, but you're not paying for a good review. That's another difference. You'll give somebody $80, $500, whatever. It's a recognized organization. They have some merit behind their name, and they will be honest in what they think of your book, which means that you might be paying a good amount of money to get your book absolutely torn apart. Aw, thank you, Richard. Parts 1 and 2 are out there. Part 1 I think is a lot better because it goes through everything. Part 2 is more of the things I've learned since then. So they really do go hand in hand. And yeah. Yes, that is the best answer for Richard when he was dealing with the I'll call him scammer, where it's, I'm glad you want to read my book. Feel free to buy it and post a review. Honestly, if somebody says I really want to review your book, I might even just throw them a free book. I don't think I've come up to that specific situation, but yeah. Okay. Hey, Miss Blogger, how's it going? All right. What is your character's internal, external goal, motivation, and conflict? Ooh, that is a tough one. It depends on the book. Sorry, I'm going to pause with my Olympic conversation. So there's a cast of main characters in the first book. The internal struggle is trying to find a balance as they get slowly overwhelmed with their magic powers. There's a lot of other internal conflicts. There's friendship conflicts. I don't know how to say a lot of this without giving away key details of it, but there's also external conflicts where there's a monster that they're trying to stop. There's time travel where they get kind of lost, and so they need to find their way home. And so there are a lot that there's, again, going back to the friendship thing, there's a friendship that comes to a physical altercation. So there's a lot of different conflicts that the characters have to deal with. And it's pretty cool how those conflicts build off of each other from book 1 to book 2 to book 3. Cool. All right. I'm going to try and hurry up because we are already 30 minutes in and I got 2 more points to go through. So, number 4, success comes down to luck. For all the preparation, for all the effort put in, those races, especially the 100 yards, come down to fractions of a second. Technically, it takes time for the sound of the gun to travel to the athlete. So, in the case of lane 1 to lane 8, that would be 1/100th of a second difference. Except that now races have modern technology so that there's simultaneous signals. But back before that, there would be that slight difference. And so that's always something to consider. So to succeed as an author, it kind of comes down to luck and timing and skill, obviously, but there's also luck involved. Because the best written book, which is published into a saturated market, can easily be forgotten. These gems can then shine through years later. There are bestsellers which these have happened to where the author has written a few books, but they get a single break and then their book takes off. TikTok is notorious for this, where somebody has a couple of books out and they're saying, whatever, and they'll promote it, and then it just gets picked up. And from there, that book becomes a bestseller, even though it's been out for a while, even though they have multiple books in the series. Sometimes being lucky is as important as being prepared. And lastly, number 5, I really wish they had an average person at the Olympics. When everyone is sprinting, it is impossible to gauge how fast they're going. With the speed walking event, I foolishly made a comment about how I could probably compete. Then I did the calculations to figure out how fast they're going, and no, I could not, in fact, come anywhere close to that by a very long shot. It was kind of funny because speed walking, it makes them look like they're not going to make it to the bathroom in time, because you need to always have a foot on the ground. Like, the rules are weird for speed walking and to distinguish it from running, because you need to make sure that you always have one foot in contact with the ground and your legs are straight and all these other details, the nuances of it. But it ultimately looks like you're trying to hold in a poop. And my thought was, I mean, they're probably not going that fast because, again, you're limited by what you can do. But I was completely wrong on that. And yeah, I could not compete anywhere close to Olympic level with that. Now, I do think that the Olympics would be more entertaining if they pulled someone from the audience and had them run alongside these athletes, or they throw the shot put, or they do whatever. So that way, when that person inevitably gets lapped, we have an understanding of how incredibly fast those runners are going. The closest thing is every so often when an athlete can't compete. You have teams and countries send various people, and for one reason or another, a person can't do the sprint. They'll pull in some person from the field events into a sprint, so that way they don't get disqualified, or there's various other reasons why they do it. but watching a shot putter run a 200-meter race gives a decent gauge for the winner's actual speed. In my own life, when I talk about how I've written a book, a lot of my friends and family say they have an idea they'd like to write. I encourage all of them to follow their dreams. And if you have a book idea out there, I think you should go for it. They're wonderful. Having dreams is incredible, and seeing those fulfilled, it's some of the best feelings in the world. But those conversations are a reminder that of everyone who has an idea for a book, few actually finish writing it. Even fewer publish those manuscripts, and even fewer continue to market their books after the fact. A lot of times, I actually have a coworker who published a novella, and that's kind of it. So he has this one novella that's out there, and it's I mean, I don't want to say it's dead, but it's kind of stagnant is probably the best way of putting it. He wanted to write something, he got something out there, and then that was kind of the end of it. So obviously we're still coworkers, so his aspirations of writing have not pursued further. And what I'm trying to get here is that congratulations to all of you who have written and published a book, let alone multiple. And I would consider you the athlete, the Olympics of writing, because of everyone who runs, very few actually make it to the Olympics. Sorry. Very few runners actually compete, even fewer compete in the Olympics. And of those, obviously only 1 to 3 win for a given competition. So you have this very, very vast narrowing, funneling of competitors to get to that podium. Again, even the worst athlete at the Olympics can far exceed any possible race I could ever take part in. Even if they're, a 200-yard sprinter, I'd be willing to bet money on the fact that they could still run a 10-mile race faster than I could. So even if they aren't training their body to run long distances, I guarantee you they could still outpace me easily for a long distance. My point is that if you've written a book, it doesn't matter how long it is, if it's a novella, if it's a Brandon Sanderson size manuscript or novel, whatever, kudos. You are the Olympic athlete of writing. And I just will say you're awesome. You are doing great work, and you deserve to reward yourself. So on that positive note, I am Ben Pick, and thank you for joining me in Running to Write. Did any of you watch the Olympics? I clearly only saw parts of it. I watched the hammer throw, which was really interesting because and shot put. No, just the hammer throw, I think. Maybe. I think I did shot put. I was falling asleep. But I put in shots when I was in high school, and it was incredible seeing, wow, I had a 12-pound ball, and they're using 16-pounders, and it feels like a football field ahead of where I could ever throw, but it's, double and triple the distance with a heavier ball, which is pretty cool. Now, what sports, let me know in the comments what sports for the Olympics you'd like to see next time. We're coming up 2 years from now, we'll do the Winter Olympics, but you can let me know what Winter Olympics sports you'd be interested in, or summer, 4 years from now, we can talk about it. In other news, it's not too late to sign up for my monthly newsletter. The link is in the description below, and you get to find out in tomorrow's episode of Monthly Shenanigans. They'll be sent out at noon Eastern time. But you get to find out what the best donut shop is for the real life basis of the Steven Universe's main hub. That's right. Among all kind of facts about how I spent my days off this computer screen, I talk about my beach week family vacation to Rehoboth Beach. And I can't take full credit for that comment because it was my wife who made the connection, where most of the adventures take place in this beachside town. And I should have recognized that it was basically near where I vacation. I think it's kind of Dewey Beach, Rehoboth, Bethany, Ocean City conglomerate into one. But it still feels like it's that northeast corridor of Maryland, Delaware, beach hangouts, beach weekends. And I guess I should have kind of figured that out, considering that the mayor in the show Steven Universe is Mayor Dewey. But you get to find out what the best stone shop in that area is. And with that, I'll see you next time. Next week, next Monday, I'll be starting at 6 o'clock. I'll be doing another productivity sprint because it's the second Monday of the month since we're in September now and time is going really quickly. But until then, train to write our books like athletes train for the Olympics, because you are an Olympic athlete for writing, and way to go. With that, let me check the, oh boy. Oh wow, a lot of people just joined in. Sorry. I was going to say goodbye, but you still No, to be fair, I've heard that a lot. A lot of people say they would love to see an average person at the Olympics. It's not just me. Hey, Margaret, thank you for joining in. Yeah, yeah. Even the distance between the first place and the regular competition still can be incredible. As I mentioned, sure, I have not. I didn't comment on any any athletes' looks. So I missed out. What was that all about? She's the queen of the track camp. Gotcha. Congrats to all of us still banging away on that. Yeah. Also, thank your loved ones who support you and try to make your reign possible. Yes, indeed. There are plenty of times where I'm setting aside writing time and Adrian will help take care of chores around the house. So thank you, sweetie. I appreciate that. You are awesome. And Eva, thank you for joining in. You are cool for being here. So apparently she's a swimmer. Breaker Rugby Star. Oh, okay, cool. Sorry, the comments are fun. Yeah, Mayor Dewey. Mayor Dewey. That's a great show. We should rewatch it at some point because it's a lot of fun. And I guess I could have gotten a photo with Joe Biden, who I heard somebody had done that recently where they were biking and the person might have been running or whatever, but they happened to just come across President Biden and decided to take a picture. And let's see here, just a few more comments. Huh. Interesting. One of your main plot points echoes the Taylor's version clapback. I don't understand that reference, but you can never leave. Yeah, I didn't keep up with a lot of the Olympics. My brother is obsessed with it. I watched a little bit when I was hanging out at his house, and then a few other times here and there. Do you know about all the songs that have Taylor's version after the title? No, I don't. I know virtually nothing about Taylor Swift. I do know that my wife just bought a skeleton with like the lightning thing on there, so it's either Ziggy Stardust and or Taylor Swift. I thought Biden was like close to her, but I thought it was closer to like Dewey or something along those lines. But either way, I definitely don't think I would see him on my running trails because I'm too far in like the community as opposed to like the rich people area. I don't tune you out when you talk about Taylor Swift. All right, let's see here. If I were stranded on a desert island, what character from would I want to be with you and why? Oh, Tracy. Tracy or Melissa, or Beertol. Basically, any of the women in my stories would be fantastic to be with. Tracy is a lot of fun. She is very outgoing. She always has the right music to play, and she has the powers to transform things. So she could, get us. She could find some solution to get us off the island. So even without her powers, she still was fun to hang out with. Let's see, Melissa. She is a military kid, so she has a regimented session, and she has survival training. Sorry, regimented. She could regiment everything to keep us alive, and she has military training, so she knows how to survival training. So she would know what to do on a desert island. And lastly, same thing with Riertol. She is extremely resourceful. And again, Tracy might not know how to survive, but it'd be a fun for as long as we lasted. Melissa and Riertol would actually keep us alive while we're stuck on stranded on an island. And it has nothing to do with hooking up with any of them. It's just strictly fun survival. Let's see here. I don't think I would actually name a Taylor Swift song. Ooh. No, but I do often, to my wife's annoyance, quote, "Band-Aids can't fix bullet holes." So I don't remember what that's from. There's also this Harry Potter spoof of a Taylor Swift song that I used to watch because it was really funny, and I don't remember. Oh, it's a Glitter Skull Jesus.
Band-Aids don't fix bullet holes.
What did I say? Sorry, my wife is correcting me for my Taylor Swift line, and I don't know what I butchered, but it was Band-Aids don't fix bullet holes is the correct line compared to whatever I said. No, Richard. I know that Wrecking Ball is the wrong person. That was Miley Cyrus. Yeah, see? Miley. Hey, Devin, thank you for joining us. I'm sorry, I'm just wrapping up now. I'm going through the comments because I don't feel like editing this yet, and it's a lot of fun. So thank you for joining in. God, I'm showing how bad I am at Taylor Swift knowledge as my wife just shouted down the basement to correct me. Exactly. It's definitely hard to mistake a Miley Cyrus song. Oh, yeah. Taylor Swift is an incredibly savvy businesswoman. Well, I mean, I was asked what characters I would like to take with me, and yes, you're right, they're all teenagers, so it does get kind of awkward there. But, you know, yeah. See, that was the question I was asked. I gave a valid answer. I guess Flint will work too. So Flint is the older man of the group. He's an adult, so he would know. He has survival training. He's just kind of a jerk about it. So I would survive, but I would certainly be miserable the entire time and probably yell at a lot. So I guess he would be a distant fourth, although appropriate. You know, it'll be more appropriate for two dudes to be hanging out on an island, to be stranded on an island together than any other alternatives. So I kind of assume that. Yeah, I made a couple of assumptions with my answers, but you know. Anyways, Flint is his own entity. Yes. All right. Well, I've gone on far too long, and I am going to say goodbye. I will see you all next time. Like I said, a week from now, I'll be starting an hour early at 6 p.m., and we are going to do productivity sprints. Hopefully, I'll be starting off a new chapter. I'm going to try and align myself so that I can finish the current chapter I'm working with, and that way I can start working on a fresh chapter come 6 p.m. a week from now. I will see you all later. Have a wonderful week.